Hello, my name is Elise, or Caffeine and Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about the not so brand new at time of recording, but I finally have all my stuff finally came in the mail for Rewrite the Star of Vyrgila from the upgrades from the Stardust Blade trial deck. Vyrgila, if you don't know, is the main vanguard of the protag of Skyrider 0. Skyrider's it's a fun manga. I've been reading it. It's cute. It's what a children's manga should be. But let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, I'm on the intended ride line because I think it's cool. And because it's actually incredibly good. Rising Star Vyrgila is a grade 1 that during your turn gets 2k for each of your rear guards. And when you would ride from the ride deck, you can Soul Blast 1 instead of discarding to go into your Shooting Star Vyrgila. Once per turn, as long as you have 4 rear guards, you can reveal your grade 3 Vyrgila to give it a crit, and then when he's rode upon, you can check the top 7 for grade 2, except no, because you're going into a Vyrgila, you can just search your deck for any grade 2 card. And then, of course, Rewrite the Star of Vyrgila, who once per turn, as an act for Energy Blast 3, you bind one of your opponent's rear guards, and then call a grade 2 unit from drop. Explicitly grade 2. This deck plays like old school Royal Paladins with how much it likes its grade 2s, but in Dragons, it's cool. And on attack for a counterblast, you restand a grade 2 rear guard. That is not once per turn, so if you hit Drag Veda, you get to restand. And one of the craziest grade 2s in the deck, which we'll get to. Obviously, I'm on 3 copies of the Persona Ride. And then I'm on 4 copies of Flag Raising of Courage, Fenver, who on place for Soul Blast 1, you choose one of your units with Ezerva in its name, and both it and this unit gain 5k, but if your opponent's on grade 3, they gain 10k instead. And then at the end of the turn, as long as you have a grade 3 Vyrgila and you played an ultimate skill order, we'll get to that. By putting it into Soul, you draw a card and countercharge 1. It's resources, it makes your best beater even bigger. But what's Ezerver? Why is that the best beater? Well, Ezerver is a grade 2, 15k power, 15k guard. With the mate unit skill, Vyrgila, which means it cannot be ridden and it can only be called to Rearguard Circle or Guardian Circle if your Vanguard is a Vyrgila. That's its only line of text, but again, 15k guard, 15k power. It's a big guy. And Fenver makes it a 20 to 25k also. Along with that, I'm on 4 copies of Inductance Dragon, who, if you have a grade 3 Vyrgila, is a booster at 10k, and when placed on rear from hand, as long as you have a Vyrgila, for 1 Soul Blast, you check the top 7 for an ultimate skill card that you get to add to hand. Now, the ultimate skill is an order that, first off, sideways looks really cool. It looks like it's an actual just cutout from the manga. It costs counterblast 1 to play as long as you have a Vyrgila. And what it does is you check the top 5 and call a unit from it with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard. And along with that, your Vanguard gains 2 skills. One, when your opponent would retire your unit by an ability, you get to call a new one from deck. And your Vanguard gets plus 3k for each normal unit on rearguard and drop. So this builds up really, really fast, especially if you're digging through, and especially with the Drag Rider Latifa, who is the Dragon Empire equivalent of Teethfold, on place for a Soul Blast. As long as you played a normal order and she wasn't called by a unit skill this turn, you check the top 5, choose a unit, and call it as long as it's less than or equal to your Vanguard's grade, or you add an order to hand, so she helps you search for more Stardust Blades or call out your Ezervers, your Fenvers. And then when she attacks a grade 3 or greater, she gets 5k for every open rearguard circle in the same column as her, so up to 10. And then lastly, for grade 2s, it's Stardust Blade. I'm on Union the Sky, which for Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, you draw one, remove it, and give your Vanguard plus 15. Then you can bind a copy of your Vanguard from Solar Drop to make the 15 to 25k instead. And then when you would discard it to ride for that same cost, Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, you draw a card and you get to remove it. So it works like the Gun Cyclers. For my grade 1s, I'm on 4 copies of Cosmore, which when it boosts Ezrever, you get to Energy Blast 1 per turn. And in the back row, when your Ezrever restands, you can restand it too. So Ezrever always has a booster. I'm also on 3 copies of Shenri. You have removal and you're playing orders every turn typically, so she's always going to be live. Because either your opponent has 1 or less rear guards, or you played an order, she gets 5k, and then at the end of the battle she goes soul, so you draw a card. Just more digging, just more soul, just more pressure. Obviously for perfect cards, as always. And then for my trigger lineup, I am on 7 criticals, 4 fronts, that way you're just applying even more pressure with every attack. Your columns are already getting really big turn 3, but why not add more? Why not add more power? 4 heals, because I'm not going to use the effect heals in here. And then for my OT, because Vyrgila's on attack is not on once per turn, I'm on Drag Veda. But that is the list, guys. The deck is really cool, it's really fun, but it's also very simple and straightforward. This is probably the best starter product we've gotten in a long time. The deck, as you can see, for the most part, this is stock. The only cards in here that don't come in the precon are Drag Veda, the effect fronts, but I'm not even using them for the extra guard. You can use the vanilla fronts just fine. You have the Ezrever, which is a recurring 15k intercept. The Shenris and the Latifas. These are the only cards from outside the deck that are in here. And honestly, the deck itself, the precon itself, functions pretty well without these 3 guards. You're going to have a little bit of a clunkiness with some of the non-bows. You've got a lot of cards that when they're discarded during your turn, do things, but no actual discard outlet. But besides that, you're sitting pretty. It's probably the best starter product we've gotten in years, because everything is incredibly playable out of box. Everything has a lot of pressure out of box. And the deck is just fun. It's a great way to get people into this game. But if you guys liked the video, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Ciao.